did at some point, and then I got it changed somehow, and I didn't know how to change it back.
You had the light mode on?
Yeah.
I see.
Burning my eyes right out of my face.
That's right. But you're a YouTube star, so you can handle it.
Yeah, that's me.
You're a YouTube sensation.
Mm-hmm.
I read it on the internet.
Really? Where'd you read that?
I think it was your channel, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say.
All righty. Let me load up the intro. All right. Hello and welcome to episode 825 of the Player One podcast for Tuesday, August 30th, 2022. I'm your host, Chris Johnston, and with me, as always, from Canada is Mr. Greg Seward.
Hello.
How's it going there, sir?
Not bad, not bad.
A lot less Phil in here this evening.
Yep. We are
We're Phil-less.
We taste great, less filling.
That's right. Yes.
That was
so it's just you and me. Classic lineup. High five. Internet high five. Boom. We did it.
Congratulations, everyone.
Congratulations to us. How you been, man? You got to be busy with back to school stuff and sports and all that.
Well, see, so back to school's already started for you guys, right?
No, it hasn't. A lot of schools in the U.S. do start like in early August, but up here in the Pacific Northwest, we start after Labor Day. We kick it old school.
Same here. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it is kind of busy, but I don't know, not that busy. The kids are kind of used to school at this point, and so am I. So
that's good.
You know, it's more about the busyness comes more from the boy and his changing sports seasons. He was at hockey twice today. So,
oh wow.
So yeah,
fun.
So I'm putting on the long pants and buying the Tim Hortons and going and sitting in the rink with the other parents.
Nice.
For a couple hours every other day. So,
Well, my wife and daughter took a trip to visit the Georgia side of the family. This past weekend. So I got a lot of sailing done, a lot of video game playing. Jesus. It was the Splatoon 3 Splatfest happening yesterday, so I played that all day. And when I wasn't playing that, I was playing Sea of Thieves. It was just a utopia.
Happening.
Wow. Gaming utopia.
Does your wife listen to this podcast? Or?
She doesn't, thank God. No. No, it's a lot. It's quieter here, and I miss them.
It's I'm not funny, but it's weird because, like, I mean, of course, I've been separated and or divorced for like 6 or 7 years now.
Yeah.
And I get the same way. There's like just this level of, I would also say, like, melancholy that takes over at some point, especially when they're gone for more than a couple days. I get the same ways if I travel too. Like if I travel and I haven't seen them, about 3 days is my threshold. And then it's like, man, I miss my kids. Like,
exactly. Miss them.
I know I'm going to see them again soon, but
the noise and the
right.
You need to take out the garbage and do the dishes and.
I mean, my kids don't do any of that. No, they do. I'm just kidding.
I do that here. That's my job. Wait, you mean I can make my daughter do all that stuff?
Yes.
Ugh, my God.
Man, when they get older, I don't know if you have this problem. I mean, you guys have a house, but when they get older, you can like send them out and do yard work.
Oh man.
Like my oldest two, they mow the lawn.
What?
I don't mow the lawn anymore.
That sounds nice. That sounds very nice.
But it's pretty great.
I see. Great. Well, we don't have Phil with us either. He was unavailable. I don't know what happened, but
hopefully we hope he's all right.
We hope everything's well with Phil. But we're going to get to talk about video games, you and me, but you and me. Let's talk about PlayStation 5.
Okay.
I don't know if you heard about this.
Oh, I heard about this.
Usually in video games, after a couple years of a game system coming out, it decreases in price. Are you familiar with that? Like,
no, not
happens.
because it hasn't here for a couple generations. But keep going.
Well, this time we're going the other way. Sony is increasing the price of the PlayStation 5 in some territories, well, everywhere but the US.
Right.
And yeah, I guess effective immediately. So, Oculus did that a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, we were
That's a very
talking about
similar
how
move.
crappy that was. Yeah.
Yeah, and at the time, you know, it was an open question whether other hardware manufacturers were going to do the same thing, because in everybody's being affected by the global economy and inflation and the supply chain issues. And yeah, the question was, are Sony, Nintendo, Microsoft going to raise their prices as well? So Sony announced a price increase. Microsoft and Nintendo have not, although I don't think they've ruled anything out. They both have kind of said they're keeping everything the way it is right now for now. No plan. We have no plans to increase the price, but that could change at any moment. Like, that's a PR line, right? But
Sure.
Sony is the first one to actually do it. You live
So
in Canada.
what is the price of a PlayStation 5 in the US right now?
God,
Because I really don't know.
Good question. I really don't know either.
But so yeah, so this new for the top, I guess I don't know what the top model is. It's not the digital, the model with the drive in it, the disc drive in it is going to $660, I believe, Canadian. Yeah, no, 650. Sorry, 649.99. Which is roughly equivalent to $500 American.
That's $100 more.
Yeah, that's cool.
Or no, I'm sorry. The PS5 just with no game, but with the disc drive is $499.99.
Okay, so yeah, so then that's brought it in line then. So the problem with this, and this is something that I know if you went back years in this show, we definitely talked about this stuff before, because Sony and Microsoft did this in the previous generation as well, where they raised the price. The problem with this is that they did this with games as well. And every time an increase like this happens, and I can only speak for Canada, for the Canadian market, because it's the only one I know.
For all of Canada? Okay.
I speak for all of Canada. No, but like the problem with this has always been like it's due to inflation, or it's due to the weak Canadian dollar, because of course, the Canadian dollar trading against the US dollar, it's not worth as much. But like all rings hollow because it never gets corrected.
No, of course not.
Right? Like it happened with games. When games went up in price, I remember reading like, well, it's just that the Canadian dollar is not doing that great, so we've got to raise the prices. Now they never said the word temporarily, but like it was intimated that because of the dollar's value, it was temporary. So like if the dollar was to come to parity or closer to parity, then okay, maybe the prices will go back down, which of course they never did. All it does is set a precedent for a higher price. It's kind of along the same lines. Like it's kind of the way I look at gas prices, at least up here. Like we were in this province recently, we were up over like $2.20 a liter or something like that. Which I know that doesn't mean anything to you, and I don't want to do the conversion, but either way, it was a lot.
Yeah.
We were used to prices that were closer to like 140, 150 a liter. And it's like they went up there. So then we finally started coming back down. They don't actually get back down to what the old prices were, but we're also happy that we're not being gouged. We're accepting the higher price, right? Like that's what it's felt like. That's what it's felt like for on the games front, as far as individual games. That's what it's felt like up here for a long time.
Yeah, because you guys were paying more for retail games for a while.
Well, yeah, and I mean,
even more than the $70 the increase to $70 that we got down in the US.
Exactly. So, it happens.
Yeah.
Sorry, I heard my daughter running around back there. But I mean, I don't know. man, it feels like a weird thing to do, just like it felt weird when Oculus did it recently or Meta or whatever it's called recently with the headsets, where it's like it felt like everyone bought one, because they were cheap, and now they decide to raise the price. And like with the PlayStation, it's highly sought after. It's still not easy to get one.
No.
And now we're raising the price, and it just feels, I don't know.
Well, at a lot of places, I think I've heard this from a lot of folks on Twitter who live in Canada, that oftentimes, you're relegated to buying at GameStop and only through bundles that are already more expensive than the MSRP.
Right. And it's because of the fact that they're so hard to get. So it's not going to be weird for people to be paying upwards of $1,000 to get a PlayStation 5 up here.
Yeah.
After tax and after bundling, even without a bundle here in Nova Scotia, that I think it's like 750 or something it comes to already. So, yeah, I don't know, man. What do you do? I don't know what you do. I'm glad I have one. But yeah, prices are supposed to go down, and I get it, inflation, but still, prices are supposed to go down, not up.
Yeah. I did hear at least one person saying that Microsoft should take this opportunity and announce a price cut on their hardware for the PR alone.
You'd definitely be a hero for a little while,
to make a sort of this is how you borrow a game moment,
right? But the gotcha moment
for the Xbox. But I somehow doubt they're even able to do that. They're probably scared to, right?
Yeah. And I mean, I get that the prices of materials have gone up. I mean, that is true.
Everyone's
dealing with it. But it's funny, Mr. Coffee in the chat makes a really good point, which again, this is something we've talked about before as well, where it always feels like we have this carrot dangled in front of us, and it feels like it's been happening for years. Like in the mid 90s, when we switched over mostly to CDs, not only was it a greater capacity, but we were told how much cheaper it was to manufacture those things than cartridges. Because I mean, before that, especially in the NES era, I mean, remember the chip shortage around the time of like Mario Brothers 3 and stuff like that, where it was really hard to get some games because of the chip shortage, and it was super expensive and blah blah blah. And it's like, CDs are going to fix the problem, and
of course not.
They kind of did from a shortage perspective, but they didn't really from a cost perspective. And then we've talked about this before when we've been switching over to digital, and it's the same thing. It's like, well, you're taking out the cost of the physical good, so cheaper to manufacture, right? Because you're not manufacturing anything. But it's never gone down. Now, obviously, games are more expensive to make than they used to be.
Absolutely, yeah.
But that being said, digital games aren't cheaper than physical games.
No.
So we're still all paying for that manufacturing cost.
Absolutely. Exactly. That's all I want to say about that. So we're going to move on.
Okay.
Let's talk about PSVR, because Sony has now said that PSVR 2 is coming in early 2023. And what better to chase some news of a price increase, although I think in actuality, this was announced before the price hike news came out.
Right.
But what an interesting little wrinkle there. PSVR 2, early 2023. What do you think? What are your thoughts on PSVR 2?
Have they named a price yet?
No.
I mean, I'm really excited, although I've cooled off on VR in general a little bit, especially PlayStation VR, just because it sounds so stupid to say, but it's a little bit of a hassle to hook up, so I don't leave it connected, and I don't, you know what I mean? And it's like if I've got an hour to play, I don't want to spend time hooking everything up.
Right.
That's one of the things that I'm thinking PSVR 2 is going to alleviate. And I mean, I love VR when it was shiny and new, and when PlayStation VR was shiny and new, I loved it. And I still pick it up for certain games, like Moss 2 was a huge one, and so I'm excited. I really think I'm going to get one. I mean, I want to know more about it. I want to know more about the price. I want to know more about the lineup. I really hope they come at it like guns blazing, and we have lots of lots of different bits of software available that are fun and interesting, and
I hope so
sort
too.
of recapture the magic. I would love it if they launched. Man, can you imagine if they launched with a new Astrobot?
Oh, I hope they do. I hope they do, or at least an Astrobot Rescue Mission remaster.
Yeah,
because I didn't play the first game.
Oh, well, there you go.
So I could use a remaster for that because I missed it the first time around.
Right.
Yeah. But I'm looking forward to a lot of games that
I'm really excited.
Didn't come out on the Oculus because of technical limitations or whatever. Could come out on PSVR 2, and I'm interested in all the stuff that they've announced before on like spec sheets and things, like the rumble in the headset and the foveated rendering, the eye tracking stuff where it renders only the part of the screen that you're looking at. I'm interested in all of that stuff. So I just gotta hear the price, and I gotta find out if there are prescription lenses being made for it.
Right. And one thing that that's a good point too. I need to remember to do that. But that sort of goes back to the other thing too. Like I would really love to hear more about the design of the headset, because one thing that Sony got absolutely 100% right in the previous headset was it was so friendly to glasses wearers.
Yeah.
And my glasses are bigger now than they were then. But which is something that I found with the Oculus is not.
Were you wearing Oculus before with your old glasses?
Yeah.
Now you can't because you have larger glasses. Have you tried that?
Well, even with my old glasses, I actually took them off.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
So,
but you haven't gotten the prescription stuff yet.
No, because I don't use the Oculus. Really belongs to my son, so I don't really use it all that much.
Okay.
But yeah, either way, like I'm interested in that because I'm curious to see if they get it as right this time, because they did it so perfectly last time, the design. But the other thing that I'd love to hear about that maybe they have said something and I just didn't pay attention is backwards compatibility with older games. I've said before on this show that I thought that would be really easy, but then people have pointed out that it might not actually be as simple as I'd assumed. So, I hope.
I don't think they have said anything on that.
They haven't, and it worries me that they haven't. It's not going to be a deal breaker for me, I don't think, because I still have the old headset if I ever wanted to go back to those games. But it would be great to find out that it is compatible, or at least most of the games are compatible. Especially because, like, the fact that I do break out my PSVR every now and then, like I still have the camera connected to my PS5. I still have the breakout box connected just in case. It'd be nice to finally put all that stuff to bed, as well as like a charger for my Move controllers, like just to be able to consolidate it all. So, but I'm curious to hear what that is.
Yeah, me too. For sure. Even though I did not partake in the PSVR stuff, I missed all of those old games. So, yeah.
Yeah, so another great reason to have backwards compatibility, because if they don't release remasters of that, hey, if you can still fire up Rescue Mission or something on that anyway.
Well, there's a lot of that stuff that was free via PS Plus that I have in my library because I redeemed it, but I have not played it because it's a PSVR game and I don't have the headset. So, speaking of PSVR 2, it's going to be playable at Tokyo Game Show. And it'll be in Capcom's booth playing Resident Evil Village.
Cool.
So if you want to try out PSVR 2 early, go to Tokyo Game Show and try out RE Village.
Just drop everything and
just do it.
Fly to Tokyo.
Yeah. On a moment's notice.
Already. Yeah.
Don't worry about the pandemic stuff. Just go. Don't worry about the whole hanging out in crowds. Putting a thing on your face that
people still worry about now. In my experience, there aren't a whole lot of people worrying about that anyway. So.
I still get nervous.
Me too.
Like going to airports or I haven't been to a convention yet.
I'm getting a little nervous.
Yeah. Well, they had Gamescom last week, and just seeing a lot of pictures of crowds of people.
Yeah.
Maybe.
See, I say all that fully knowing that I'm being a hypocrite because we're going to Disney in November, but
there you go. Yeah. All right. Speaking of Gamescom, I want to highlight what I believe is the most important announcement from the entire week of Gamescom. And that is the Killer Clowns from Outer Space video game that has been announced.
What is Killer Clowns from Outer Space?
It is a schlocky horror movie from the late 80s or early 90s.
Okay.
Yeah, and they're space aliens that look like clowns, and it's very schlocky, very funny horror movie, and it's being made into a asymmetrical multiplayer, of course, horror
Jesus.
video game.
Now I understand.
It's going to be 4v3. And I'm very excited about it. And I bet you that's why Phil's not on the show this week. He's so excited.
Right.
He's already working on his fan fiction for Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
So excited. All his energy has been depleted.
That's right. Yes.
I
very
thought
excited.
You were going to say. I thought you were going to say that the biggest news was that Two Guys Space Venture finally has a release date.
What is that game?
Two Guys Space Venture was a Kickstarter. Is a Kickstarter from 2012. It's the Two Guys from Andromeda. So if you remember old school Sierra Online games, especially Space Quest, the series Space Quest was created by two developers who I forget their names, but they called themselves the Two Guys from Andromeda. Which you'd always see them. They were in their games, and you'd always see them on the boxes. They had these like silly masks on, like pig noses, and anyway, back in the early 2010s, like I said, about 2012, I think it was, when Kickstarter was really a big thing, and all these old developers were coming out of the woodwork to make sequels or spiritual sequels or successors to games that they were famous for from like the 80s and 90s. The Two Guys from Andromeda came out and said they wanted to do a spiritual successor to Space Quest. And so obviously those of us who were big, like for me, I loved Sierra games, but I really love Space Quest. Space Quest was the series that got me excited about Sierra Online games. So a lot of people backed it. And it's been a long, very fraught project. They've taken breaks, and I think like there have been health issues with some, and I mean, I don't know how much of this is just like was real and how much of it was excuses for not getting things done. But anyway, they would go quiet for months, and I think at one point even a year or more at a time. And anyway, they came out last week or the week before and said that it's finally coming out. The Two Guys Space Venture is coming out early September, in the next 2 weeks, I think.
All right.
Exciting times. I fully expect it to not even come close to living up to expectations. So hopefully I'm wrong and I get surprised. But yeah.
Well, that
nothing to do with
Monkey
Gamescom.
Island.
I just was really excited about the fact that it's even happening.
Yeah, and that Return to Monkey Island game comes out in September also.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
Anyway, now that we're done with all the Gamescom news that
Obviously
mattered, let's talk about Masahiro Sakurai is starting he started a YouTube channel and is doing quick videos on like his gameography and also game design tips and little tweaks that he likes. Things like, for instance, the little pause when you have killed a boss, or the pause and the screen shake when you die in a shooter or something, like when you're hit and you're dead.
Wow.
And he does things like compare, okay, like look at this sequence without that effect, and then look at it with that and just see how it like changes the moment for you. And it's very interesting. So there are a couple things like that. And he talks about some of the design of other games as well. Like Mega Man is brought up in there. Fantasy Zone is brought up in there as one of the games that does the pause when you're about to die or when you die.
It absolutely does do that.
So Yeah, it's really interesting. So we started this YouTube channel. The videos are about 3 to 5 minutes in length, so they're pretty bite-sized. And he's got like around 5 videos up there now. One is an explainer about what the channel is going to be, and then subsequent videos are all about a different topic. And the pace on this, I mean, he only started the channel like last week, and already there are 5 videos up. So he talks about frame rates.
Keeps up that pace, because that's not weird to have like a big burst of content. But I love that he's doing like really bite-sized video, because you find a lot of videos that do stuff like this are like an hour long, and that's one of the things that stops me from watching them a lot of the time. Is just that I don't have an hour to sit and watch this, as fascinating as I think the topic is.
Yeah,
right. That looks really cool. Subscribed.
Yeah, I subscribed as well. There's already like 325,000 people who subscribed to the English version of this channel, and another like 295 who have subscribed to the Japanese version of the channel. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, this is really cool, and I also subscribed, and I'm looking forward to all of the video content that he wants to put together, because he's been in the industry for such a long time.
Right.
And like a lot of the stuff that he has done at Nintendo, just in regards to game feel and gameplay design, are things that are so important to games. And they're so little, they're little touches that people might even forget about. But I feel like they're important. So I will be keeping an eye on that.
Yeah, definitely.
This was in the opening night live thing. Hideo Kojima is starting a podcast.
Yeah. I don't know how to feel about that.
It's going to be on Spotify. I imagine it'll be on other places as well. But it's called Hideo Kojima Presents Brain Structure. And it's going to be available in both Japanese and English. And it'll apparently cover... Well, the idea behind it is that it unravels the genius behind Kojima's ideas and creative thinking. It's a very humble.
Although I will say, his games are so weird, and his stories, his storytelling has gotten so weird that I feel like it would be worth, even if you aren't a fan of it at this point, which I'm kind of at that point where I was like, I used to be all in on his stuff, and then, man, like the Metal Gear Solid story, it just got so far up its own ass. So by the end, and like Death Stranding was just completely, I didn't know what was going on for the amount that I played of it. It would probably be fascinating to hear him explain that stuff.
Yeah.
Just to even to find out if he's just crazy. You know what I mean? Like, even if the explanation is just as like wild as the stories themselves, it would be worth knowing.
Yeah.
I might have to listen to that.
Yeah, I might have to too. I'm interested. It's going to have various segments and guests as well. Apparently Jeff Keighley himself is going to be on
the Jeff Keighley.
Holy
crap!
Yeah,
you never see that guy on podcasts or in videos. Never.
So there you go. Subscribe to Kojima's new podcast. I don't know if you remember, a long time ago, Kojima Productions used to do a podcast with Ryan Payton.
That.
Yeah, but I guess they haven't done it in a while, and this replaces that clearly.
Okay.
But anyway, don't know if you've seen this hanging around Twitter. Somebody has added Kermit the Frog to the Spider-Man game on PC. So I linked, I've seen a bunch of clips of this on Twitter, and I linked to a YouTube video that I'll put in the show notes.
That's really well done.
Yeah, basically someone has taken Kermit, modded it into the Spider-Man game, and doing all the flips and moves and stuff. It's fantastic.
What a weird thing to do.
Have you seen because this also happened with God of War when that came out on PC. There was a Homer
With
Simpson
the Homer
mod.
Simpson one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did
So
see that.
there's
But that one
some kind of
was
precedent for
it was
this.
pretty great, but like that one, the character model for Homer is so not the same proportions as
That's true.
Dad of Boy that, you know, it would clip through itself constantly.
Yeah.
This looks fantastic.
This looks really good.
I'll never play this, but I love that I know it exists.
Yeah. Yeah, same here. I like the whole mod scene. I respect it, but I don't know how to do it, and I don't even want to like get into that area. I'm not that much of a PC gamer. When you start talking about mods, or custom firmware on consoles or whatever, I'm gone. Anyway, I think it's time we talked about what we've been playing.
Do I sing the tweet song?
No, you don't, because we're not doing tweets yet. But I would like you to talk about what you have been playing, Greg.
So I've been playing some more Arcade Paradise. This is the game, of course, where you from Nosebleed Interactive, I think it's called, where you take over management of a laundromat, a coin laundromat, that, of course, has some arcade machines in the back room when you start. And that's where you get the idea to actually turn it into an arcade, because you check the coin boxes of those machines and find out there's actually a lot of money in there. Right. And they've just been sitting there. So it's like, oh, we should turn this. And it's cool because it's got this level of progression that I love, where it's a bit of a grind, but it's not awful. And like you don't have a ton of, it's going to sound weird that I prefer it this way, but you don't have a ton of freedom over sort of the space that you have. You hit these thresholds, like when you first start, you're just in a little storage room and you have room for like 3 machines or 4 machines, or I don't even think 4. I think it is 3. And it's literally like a concrete floor, and there's like, you know, just really bright lighting, and there's shelves with utility stuff, you know, like paper towel and cleaning products and everything in the same room. And like, it's literally just your storage room. And then like once you've bought your 3 or 4 machines to fill the space, then you get the option to like pay to earn some extra money and pay it so that you can expand the space into an unused storage room, like knock down a wall, and then, you know, you add some neon to it, and you've got the classic arcade blacklight carpeting and that sort of thing. And you know, it unlocks more games you can buy, and then it's the systems are kind of growing exponentially on each other. And I've gotten to the point now where I've upgraded a few times, when I'm getting ready to upgrade into like an empty lot behind the laundromat now. I posted a picture of the way the arcade. I actually just bought what is absolutely a DDR machine. I don't know how they got away with. And when you play it, it's DDR. I mean, it is DDR. Like, it's got the arrows at the top of the screen. Well, maybe that's the difference. I can't remember. In DDR, did the arrows go up or down?
They went up.
They went up. Yeah. Arrows at the top of the screen going up. And you have to tap the direction when the arrows get. I mean, it's absolutely DDR. I don't understand how.
Well, there have been several games like that.
I know there have, but they always have kind of a different look. But anyway,
dance step. Yeah.
And so you also start getting different.
I see you have an arcade game called Blockchain.
Yep.
In your arcade.
It's Tetris. Now, it's not really? Tetris. It's a falling block puzzle, but it's like the way it works is you have each block has a number on it, and if that block is part of a chain, that's that. Now, so like if you drop a 3 next to 2 other existing blocks, well, then it's part of a chain of 3, and the 3 will disappear.
Okay.
Or you drop a 7, like, and everything grows up from the bottom, and you have to keep, you know, it's actually one of my favorite games.
Oh, really?
But yeah, like it's got some really cool systems where, you know, you're still sort of running the laundromat in the front of the building, but you're starting. I'm getting to the point now where I'm actually having to deal with like setting the difficulty level on a machine and setting the price on a machine to sort of maximize profit on it. And one of the ways you do that as well is like you want to play some games too. So the more you play a machine, like the more popular it'll get a popularity boost for a while. And if you have a popular machine sitting next to other machines that aren't as popular, they get a boost. You have basically achievements in each game where if you can meet those achievements, the machine will get a popularity boost. It's gotten to the point now where the machines can actually break down. So you play like this little mini game where you pull the circuit board out and there's little bugs crawling around it and you have to like flick them to destroy them. So there's just like you're juggling a lot of that stuff. And I had mentioned previously when I first started playing it that I was like, I hope I don't have to get too into all the minutia of this because I feel like it's going to make it not as much fun. But it's still great. I'm really enjoying it. And there's definitely sort of a risk reward where it's like, there's a space race simulator, I think it's called, or something like that, which is basically Outrun, but you're on like a hovercraft. And it's like, you get daily challenges as well to earn a different currency to buy different perks. So it's like, do a 14-kilometer run in this game today. But to do that, you would have to take the time to do it, which means that the laundry that you're doing in the front, you won't get as good a rating for how quickly that gets done because it'll sit there unfinished. So like you're going to make less money there, but you can make more money doing this. And so you're juggling that constantly. But then the thing that the perks that you can buy are great too, because it can you can buy a watch that actually slows down the speed of the game clock. So you have more time to get things done through the day. And you buy shoes so you can actually add a run feature, and glasses so that the interactive bits that you can deal with, or you can actually do it from further away, like just little bits and pieces like that.
Okay.
So every time I play it, I sort of fall in love with it. It's just really well done. And it's sort of, the mechanics are very basic, very easy to understand. Even when you're dealing with setting like the difficulty and the cost of a machine, like you're using this, it's really great. Like the interface is like an old PDA, touchscreen PDA. And like, as you adjust the values, it tells you what the thing's going to earn per hour based on those values. Like it's giving you an estimate. So you're not just guessing, and you're not having to pay attention to a ton of stats to figure out what the best thing to do is. Like it's literally just throwing switches and pulling levers, and it's telling you what's going to happen when you do it. It's a matter of doing it, but it's wrapped up in this great sort of super nostalgia inducing package, especially as the arcade is growing, that I'm just like absolutely in love with. So still really digging it.
Do you end up hiring like people to work in the arcade to help with some of that minutia stuff that you've been talking about?
So yes, there is. You can hire, I forget what the term is, but it's like an assistant manager assistant or something like that.
Yeah.
Like it's, some stupid title. That I believe he will take care of emptying the coin hoppers, which is like the last thing I do in my day, right? So that's one sort of less thing you have to do, or like gathering trash is another thing you have to do. So one of the perks you can, but like when the garbage bag gets full, you have to run it out to the dumpster, and there's a little mini game to toss it in. But it's like, which I think is cool that they sort of gamified it, but it takes time out of your day, and the bag only holds so much trash before you have to take it out. So one of the perks you can buy is bigger garbage bags so that you can hold more before you have to run outside. So it's just little stuff like that. It kind of sounds ridiculous when you're talking about it piecemeal like this, but I love it. And the days are nice and quick. So I mean, I feel pressured to get things done, but at the same time, I like that I can sort of play a day of it in like 10 minutes. So I can, this is absolutely a game that I sort of turn on and just play if I've got like 45 minutes to kill, and then turn it off again.
Is this your like before bed game?
Absolutely.
Recently. Yeah.
But the problem with it is that I'm enjoying it so much that it's like,
well, and you're playing it on PS5, right? You're not playing it on the Switch. You could have this as your like.
I'm not doing that.
No?
No, I don't play the Switch in bed.
You don't?
No, I have a hard enough time sleeping. I don't want.
I thought you played Picross.
I used to.
Or I've seen you play Clubhouse games.
Yeah, I shouldn't be doing that either. I haven't been doing that anymore.
I've seen Greg is online playing Clubhouse games. What?
You know why that is? Because I realized that Solitaire Mahjong is on there. So that's what I've been playing.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, you know, I talked when I first talked about this, I described a lot of this, but as I've been advancing through the game, I'm curious to see how long it's going to take to get to the point where I'm not doing the laundromat thing anymore. But I'm just, yeah, it's a grind, but it's a fun grind, and I'm really enjoying it. The only thing not even a complaint, but the only thing that I haven't quite sorted out is there every now and then you get a game that that just feels way too difficult. And there's one that I've just gotten. Oh, but Micah in the chat just said there's a patch coming in that's going to make upgrades more affordable. Sweet.
Nice.
So there's this one game I got that it looks like a vector graphics game. It's a tank game where you've got a tank that's just driving down different roads, and you only control the turret, and helicopters will fly in from different directions. And I can't get my high score on that game is 5. Like I can't get any, and that's on easy. I can't get anywhere in that game. So there's a few of those that I'm just like, I really don't know what to do here. But for the most part, you know, I'm not having a problem with it. And I just love the idea of building a little arcade, even though it's very clearly prescribed. Like, you know,
sure,
you can buy different machines, but to unlock the next building upgrade, you have to buy all of them. So sooner or later, you're going to buy all of them. So, yeah. Yeah, okay. It's great. I love it.
I see.
It's seriously on my it's on my short list for my top 5.
Really? Yeah. Game of the year?
Yeah. Like that's how much I'm enjoying it.
Okay.
So, a couple of games that I was streaming last week that I want to talk about. One is Gris, Gris, which is I didn't know anything about this game. So this was requested by a friend of the show, Scoop Joey, after he made some donations to Extra Life. So I finally got around to playing it. I didn't know a thing about it. I didn't know what I was getting myself into when I started playing it. But it's just this like absolutely gorgeous side-scrolling platformer that and it's like it's got this, I would say, sort of like a watercolor aesthetic. And it's very relaxing. There's puzzles and things like that, and there are actually boss fights in the game too, but like it never feels intense. It just sort of feels it's got this really chill vibe to it that I'm really, really enjoying, at least for the first hour and a half. I think it's only 3 or 4 hours long. But yeah, so the whole idea in this game is that you're returning color to the world. So the game starts in black and white. Well, there's an event that happens, and then when you start playing, the world is in black and white. And you just, I can't even describe exactly what you do to bring the color back. You hit these sort of checkpoints in the world, and I think I don't know if it's always after a boss fight that trigger a color coming back. So I think I've already brought back red, green, and blue.
Okay.
But like it's just this, it's a really flowing, like vertical and horizontally. The stages just really flow together nicely. They transition really nicely. The audio is beautiful as well. You slowly unlock different abilities. Like now I can actually use like these little clusters of birds in the levels to shoot my main character in different directions, like to give her some extra height and that sort of thing. She can also has basically like the equivalent of a butt stomp now, where you can break loose rocks and things like that, or if you're in a puzzle where actually the boss I was fighting was a giant bird that would like screech and cause a lot of wind and actually blow her backwards, and you can like use this heavy block ability to just anchor her to the ground so that she doesn't get blown off whatever platform she's on and stuff like that. So it's like really intuitive gameplay. It's slowly introducing different abilities. It's really pretty. It sounds great. And it's just not stressful in the least so far. I didn't know what to expect when I played it, and I like fell in love with it immediately. So I'm glad that Joey requested it, and I feel like most people in the chat were saying like one more session, maybe two, and it's going to be over. Also very short, but digging it, really digging it.
I like that, a chill vibe platformer.
You should check it out.
Sounds fun.
And I would recommend, I don't know how expensive it is. I don't think it's very expensive. I would recommend not watching videos on it.
Okay.
Just sort of take the plunge if what I just said sounds interesting to you. If it's not that expensive, I think you really like
$17.
That's not
bad. Or $5 on the App Store.
There you go. I don't know what it would play like on a.
I think this is anyway on sale often too, so maybe I'll add it to my wish list and pick it up then. Yeah. Okay.
So the other game that I played and actually finished this week.
Whoa, you finished a video game. All right.
Well, it was over a space of a few weeks. Was Leisure Suit Larry 5. And I always find when I'm streaming the Larry games, I'm always kind of I was really into the first game. Pretty much have the first game memorized. Really into the second game because that was the one I owned. I've played the other ones, but I don't have strong memories of them. And with Larry games, obviously they're adult in nature. Raunchy humor. And as graphical fidelity got better, like Larry 5 came out in 1991, inappropriate visuals. So, but I always stream them anyway. And so in this one, you play as Larry and as his counterpart, Passionate Patty. The actual subtitle for the game was Passionate Patty Does a Little Undercover Work. And like, so the whole point is that you play half the time as Larry and half the time as Patty. In Larry's story, you're working for a television network who's trying to find the America's sexiest woman. And you're going to meet 3 different women who don't know they're being
this already seems problematic.
Scouted.
Seems
so you're
problematic.
wearing a hidden camera. So yeah, it's just like, wow, this is inappropriate. So that was weird enough. As Patty, you're playing as basically like a government agent who is trying to prove that there are like a lot of different things, but a lot of it has to do with the sort of the satanic panic when they were saying like, if you play records backwards, there are messages hidden there and stuff like that. Like there's a whole element of that here, although this one is about doing drugs. They're trying to, I think it was drugs. They're trying to get kids to do drugs by putting hidden messages in records and stuff. So that's what she's doing. Okay. So at one point, and the main thing that really stood out, and I knew it was going to happen. The thing about it is like, it's not just the raunchy humor in these games, but it's also very, I hate to say of its time because people use that term to excuse things that were never really okay. But, like going back to like Leisure Suit Larry 1, especially when they didn't have any VO text adventure, there's one point where you go into a convenience store to buy condoms. And of course, the guy behind the counter is Indian because of course he is, right? And so when he speaks in the game is written phonetically the way it's supposed to induce sort of like you're supposed to read it and hear like a poo in your head.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Like, so that's how it's written. Stuff like that. It's all through these games. And it's like, okay, well, that's, it's a little cringy, but okay, let's get through this. We can get through this together. So anyway, in this game, one of the things you're doing is you're going to a record studio called, is it a record studio? There's a record studio and a radio station. It's called K-Rap. Anyway, it's a rap station. It's hip hop, right? Okay. And there's some really funny jokes in there. Like they've got a knockoff of MC Hammer that they call PC Hammer, and 2 Live Crew, which they call Two Live to Screw, I think is what they call them in the game. So whatever. That's pretty funny. But Patty has to infiltrate the place.
Mm-hmm.
And at one point you go into, when we were headed to this, I was saying to the chat, it's like, I am really not sure what's about to happen, but I have an inkling of what's about to happen. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure it's not going to be okay. Right. So the way she infiltrates is she sneaks into an office and she finds these papers that she needs. And there's, of course, because this is 1991, there's a Xerox machine in the office.
Naturally. I believe they called them mimeograph machines.
Mimeographs, yeah. No. So she goes to photocopy these papers that she needs as evidence.
Yeah.
Of course, there's a paper jam because that always, that's a standard joke when it comes to photocopiers and Xerox machines and stuff like that. So
because it used to happen so often,
right? So when she yanks the paper out of the thing, the toner explodes. All over her. And now she's black.
Okay.
And now she can infiltrate the rap station.
No.
Yeah.
That's not a thing.
Whole blackface section.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like, okay.
Now, was this one of the entries that was written by Al Lowe, or is this like outside of his?
Yeah, I don't know if he wrote it or not, but he was still involved.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
Yikes. Okay.
That was a thing. So anyway, I finished that game.
You finished that game. Okay.
I was like, oh, wow. Okay. And it was just sort of the same thing. It's like, let's just all hold hands and get through this together. And, we all know what's happening here. Let's just, yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Leisure Suit Larry 5. That's done.
What's your next game?
Police Quest 3. I'm going to start that tomorrow night.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay. I've never played any of the Police Quest games. I only ever played King's Quest. That was the only Sierra
King's
game.
Quest? King's Quest was kind of the flagship.
I played King's Quest 4, I want to say.
I want to say that by the time most of the other series were really getting off the ground, they were already on King's Quest 3.
Yeah.
I think that's right. That series was really taking off. It has been fun to do that stuff, though, because I've been doing it in relatively chronological order. And of course, the Sierra games are the main ones that I've played so far. So it's kind of been interesting to see them move from like the original King's Quest, which is very simplistic, and up to like this Leisure Suit Larry 5 for everything I just said. I mean, the graphical fidelity, like we were in the VGA era at this point, and the resolution had gone up. There were actually voice samples playing, a lot of cool stuff happening. So it was kind of neat. And they'd switched from the parser interface to point and click, a true point and click interface, kind of like LucasArts had. So overall, it's been fun to go through them all. But yeah, it's like the Leisure Suit Larry games, even with the first one, knowing what was in that, I was just like cringing, like, oh wow, like I know this is going to be offensive. Like we're going to play it anyway because I've kind of committed to playing these adventure games on Monday nights. But just sort of like trying to warn everyone up front. It's like there's going to be some stuff in here, and it's not just the sexual content. There's going to be some stuff in here that is inappropriate. And I hope I don't get kicked off Twitch. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But that's it for me. That's what I've been playing for the past week.
Alrighty. I finally got my Shenron glider in Fortnite. You'll be happy to know.
I don't have a clue what that means.
Shenron is, of course, the dragon that is summoned when you get all the Dragon Balls. Shenron, you can glide down on Shenron, who's a dragon character. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm having fun still playing Fortnite. I'm already like level 150, so I don't really need to play anymore for the rest of the season, but they're introducing some fun things and modes up till the end of the season. The season ends in mid-September. So coming up here on another season flip, which will be fun. This will be the first time I'm actually interested in the season flip of a Fortnite season. What can I say? It's been great though. I love the gameplay. The zero build mode, again, if you've not played it, you should check it out, because without building, Fortnite is really, really fun. But I swear it is. I also played Realm Royale Reforged. So Realm Royale is another battle royale game that I really like, from Hi-Rez Studios. So they make Paladins and Smite and Rogue Company, and this is sort of Paladins, but as a battle royale game. And I really like Realm Royale quite a bit. I think it came out in like 2018 or 2017.
My son played this.
I think so. He probably did years ago, because it's been years now. But they sort of relaunched it as Reforged. So they made some changes to how everything is done. Now you gain armor sets instead of, they had an old system to give you passive buffs before. They changed that to armor now. They've also made the map a little bit different, in that when you first land, it's only a section of the island. It's not the whole island. So it used to be, you have the whole island, and then like in normal battle royale fashion, the storm converges and it, gets smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. But now, so they're starting on a smaller portion of the island now. So people are being pushed together quicker. So there's more action happening earlier in the game, which I think is great. They've kept the core systems in place, but they've added some fun stuff. Like one of the unique abilities in Realm Royale is when you get killed, you turn into a chicken for a short amount of time, during which you can, if you avoid getting hit, you can end up respawning at the end of like 15 seconds. You have to survive for 15 seconds as a chicken. And if you're able to, you come back. And so now you can, like, the chicken can jump higher, and there's a couple other things that you can do special as the chicken, which is fun. It gives you that sort of like last little bit of trying to hang on to a strand of life in a battle royale game. You're not just dead immediately. So that's good. But it doesn't really look that much different than Realm Royale did previously. Okay. But it's still a lot of fun. And so I hopped into that. Now that I've played a bunch of Fortnite, though, it takes some getting used to a different control scheme and setup in Realm, because Realm is a lot lower. I mean, Fortnite is a high budget game.
Of course.
Right. Realm is not so much, but it's still really fun. And I just I like what they're doing with that. The trailer for Reforged has a dragon in it, and there's a dragon now flying around the map, and they're sort of hinting at something's going to happen with this dragon. Like there is going to be like an event, like a world event, like a PvE type thing happening with it.
I will say I
always thought was an interesting concept.
Yeah, I always thought that was so great on when Holden was really into Fortnite. Mm-hmm. That was the part that I enjoyed, because he would always show me, and of course, because he was younger then too, he would describe everything that happened to me, and I was legitimately fascinated by it. It's like, that's really cool how the world's changing, and there's like this whole history, and it's not done through lore. It's literally like, you were there and you saw this happen, which is also kind of what I don't like, because I'm a big, this, as soon as FOMO becomes a thing, I just tune out completely. But like,
I think you just gotta find
experience it.
You just gotta find the type of game that you like. Like if Gran Turismo 7 had an event where suddenly a meteor hit Laguna Seca, you'd be into it.
Yeah, they'd screw that up, but yeah,
they'd screw that up. Yeah. Well, anyway, so I also played a new indie game called Islets. This is a wholesome Metroidvania.
Okay.
And it's an indie game, hand-drawn visuals. And the core concept of it is a Metroidvania, but you are helping to like reconnect parts of this shattered island. And as part of it, the map can actually like split apart and reconnect at different locations. So to like access certain parts of the map, you have to like disconnect it and reconnect it at a certain point. So, but I'm just at the very beginning of it. A lot of fun little platforming challenges, and you can set the difficulty to anything you want. In like modern video game design, lets you change the difficulty while you're playing.
Okay.
So if you started on normal and you're like, oh, this is too hard, you can set it down to easy and alter it at any time that you want, which is fantastic. I love that. But it's very laid back. It has boss fights, so those are not laid back. But the game in general just has a nice tone, and you're helping people in the world as well. So I mean, when you get a game that is about that, well, there are more and more these days that do that. But so Islets, I've been playing Islets on the Switch.
Cool.
I also started playing the Tinykin demo. Tinykin is an indie game, I believe, done by people who used to work on Rayman.
Okay.
And so this is a 3D platformer, and it's kind of Pikmin style. You get to like work with these alien creatures who are really small, and the levels are like room size. It's sort of a Honey, I Shrunk the Kids kind of thing almost, where you're interacting with these tiny aliens and making them move some things around and solve pretty simple puzzles to progress. And it comes out on Game Pass in either later this week or next week.
Okay.
So it'll be on Game Pass, but I'm playing the demo on the Switch. But it's also a really fun little demo.
Speaking of later this week,
you talking about Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
Cowabunga Collection.
I know.
I'm very excited
about it. Yeah. I hope it's everything that I want it to be.
It sounds like it will be. Sure it will be. And actually, yeah, I was watching Vic's Basement from Electric Playground. And he had, I forget the name of the producer from Konami, but he had Chris Kohler on talking about the game. And the two of them were talking about, they were both nerding out about the insane amount of reference material that Konami had in its vault when they went after doing this, right? Like it sounds like it's just going to be nuts, the amount of extra stuff in there. I really feel like, and I hope this is the case between this and Atari 50, I really feel like Digital Eclipse is kind of on the verge of like redefining sort of what the classic game compilation can be.
I hope so.
From the sounds of it, from what Chris was talking about, it's like, man, there's a lot to be excited about there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's excellent. Yeah, I'm excited about it.
Same.
I don't think you can pre-order the digital version yet, which is the only reason why I haven't bought it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't normally pre-order digital versions of anything, but I mean, it comes out this week. I'll be buying. Yeah. I'll be buying the digital version of it for sure.
Me too. Yeah. Let's see. And I also played the Splatoon 3 world premiere. That was this weekend.
Oh, right.
Splatfest world premiere.
Team Scissors?
I was Team Scissors, yeah. For the first Splatfest, they did rock, paper, scissors battle, where you choose, what side you want to play for. And then they set it up. It's based on a couple of different factors. It's not just people who win. It's also like the popular vote. And there's also something else in there as well. There's a couple of factors, but anyway, I was Team Scissors. We lost. However, we were leading halfway through. But then we lost to rock. Rock won. So, oh well. But it was super fun. They, the main mode in Splatoon is Turf War, which is the multiplayer mode where you have to either paint the ground and also shoot the opposing team.
Mm-hmm.
And so that, of course, is as fun as ever. But also they split it up halfway through. So there were tricolor battles from about the halfway point to the end of the Splatfest, where the team who was in the lead at the halftime, which was Scissors, goes up against the other teams in a tricolor battle. So Scissors, with 4 members, went up against, in one match, they'd have a 2-person team from the rock side and a 2-person team from the paper side, and then have to defend like a center position with not only inking ground, but also defending a, I forget what it's called, but it's basically like there's like a system that the other 2 teams can take control of and then rain their color ink down on the playfield. So then it becomes
you're
a lot harder.
You're defending like a control point or something like
a
that?
Control
Basically?
point. Yes, exactly.
Okay,
and the other 2 teams are trying to take it. So super hectic and super fun. And thank God these are only like 3-minute matches, because this is just a lot going on in those. But it was super fun. And I played a bunch of matches during the Splatfest and really enjoyed the hell out of it. Tried some of the new movement controls mechanics. There's one where now you can like quickly back away, like if you're pushing forward inside ink and you want to like do a quick turn. Now you can do that with a flick of the stick and the jump button. You can jump backwards, and it also gives you some invincibility frames while you're retreating. Very handy for sure. Had to do that a lot, but it's super fun. Can't wait for the full game, which comes out in like a week and a half. As part of that,
I had no idea that it wasn't actually released yet. I was watching you talk about it on Twitter, and I just assumed the game was out.
Not out yet. No, the 9th of September, but this was out.
Yes.
The Splatoon 3 special edition Switch. So I picked that up because I couldn't resist. These Joy-Cons are awesome. They're like purple and green and yellow, and it's awesome. I love it. With Splatoon styling on the back, you can kind of see there. And Splatoon is one of my favorite Nintendo franchises.
I've noticed.
I love it, and I was all about getting a special edition OLED Switch for Splatoon.
Did you already have an OLED?
I did, yeah. So this is my second OLED now. Yeah. I think my daughter's going to take over my previous OLED.
And you just sell her old one?
Yeah.
Sell her old
standard Switch. Yes.
Old and busted.
She put stickers on it. I had to tell her not to put stickers over the fan on the Switch. I would like,
advice.
You can put stickers on it, but don't put them over this part of the back.
Mm-hmm.
Probably a good idea. But yeah, huge into Splatoon. I went back today and played some Splatoon 2 because I was already jonesing for Splatoon.
Yeah.
And won some matches, had some fun. There are people who are like, they prestiged already, and they're like, I was in a match with somebody who was level 99 with the star next to their name. So in Splatoon, you level up between 1 and 99, and then you can prestige, which sets you back at level 1, but with a star next to your grade.
Okay.
So this person was 99 star. So they've prestiged once and all the way gone through 100 levels again. I am only at level 36, and I played like 130 hours of Splatoon 2. So whoever this is has played a whole lot of Splatoon.
It's like their Sea of Thieves.
It's maybe even more than their Sea of Thieves, to be honest.
Crazy talk.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's all I've been playing. So I guess that means it's time for tweets. Now we can see if this little recording thing goes out. Tell me if you can hear this. Did you hear that?
No.
Okay, you didn't hear it. So it's not going to work.
This feels like something you should have set up properly.
I probably should have. But just imagine that Phil's tweet song has been inserted right here.
Post-production.
Yeah.
You're not going to do that.
Add it to post. No, I won't. You're right.
No, you won't.
This will be the only episode where we didn't do the tweet song.
Tweedledee-lee, tweedledee-lee, tweet, 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 tweet.
There we go. Now I have a Greg version of the song that I can now put into any episodes that you're not in. Or even episodes that you are in. All right, let's do this one.
Not that anyone could hear it.
From hacker alias Nato, who says, the other day, one of my students saw a drawing I did of Ryu and Chun-Li and said, hey, it's those guys from Fortnite. When was the time you were blindsided by the fact you may be old?
It's constant
all the time.
Yeah,
right. All the time.
Yeah.
Here I am. I'm glad that Splatoon 3 does not have voice chat because I don't want to hear all the all the youngins ragging on me for not making ground. Yeah.
Nice shot, Grandpa.
Okay, boomer. Yeah.
And then when you explain you're not a boomer, that just makes it worse.
Exactly. Yeah.
I can't think of a particular moment, but I mean, actually it's been kind of funny because my youngest will watch me play Arcade Paradise. And of course, Arcade Paradise is supposed to sort of happen in like not really defined 90s-ish time frame. So like, the computer looks like a Windows 3.1 computer. Actually, the other day when I was playing it, when you go online to buy machines, it plays the audio of an old like 56K modem.
Oh, nice.
Connecting, right?
Right.
And she actually knew what that was, which I don't know why she knows that, but she knew what that was. And she made a comment when she heard it along the lines of, God, you're old. Like, but yeah. There was that. And then actually the other thing was Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Cause I was watching that video I was talking about earlier, the Vic's basement video. And I was getting so excited and pumped up for all the things they were saying and how they talked to like Kevin Eastman as well and stuff like that. And she's like, why are you so excited about this? And it's like, you don't understand. Like the Turtles were like so huge in the late 80s when I was like your brother's age. And she just gave me a look like, yeah, you're ancient. Back in the ancient times. That was like people telling us about World War II.
I know. Yeah.
So it happens a lot.
What about so my daughter watches various YouTube videos, and oftentimes they use the Metal Gear surprise sound effect.
Mm-hmm.
And she knows what that sound effect is, but she does not equate that with Metal Gear. No.
Right. Yeah, for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
My kids keep
right.
walking in. You're one kid. What do you want? Okay. Sorry.
All right, then. Let's do this one from Hacker Alias Gunstar Gamer, who says, is Outrun 2 the pinnacle of arcade racing?
That's...
What, it's not Daytona?
Well, see, and there's the problem. Sega is its own worst enemy when it comes to the pinnacle of arcade racing.
That's right.
But I don't know, man. Yeah. Outrun 2 is pretty good.
I don't think I ever played Outrun 2 in the arcade.
No? I mean, if you played it on a console, you mostly did. I mean, you weren't using a steering wheel, though.
Yeah, I played it on a console.
Yeah, I mean, there's Daytona. There's Sega Rally. There's the original Outrun. It's tough. But Outrun 2 is pretty great. Outrun 2 is pretty great.
2. I go for Hydro Thunder, please.
Oh yeah, I could
That's
see that.
arcade racing pinnacle for me, personally.
Yep, I could see that.
All right, let's do this one from Hackeralius Grim Grinning Guy, who says, CJ, what more do you think Rare could do with Sea of Thieves if they didn't also have to support almost decade-old hardware with the original Xbox One? I think it'd probably be pretty similar to what we have, quite honestly. Like, they have already made some changes to the game, specifically like with respawn times on the Ferry of the Damned, which I just said a sentence that Greg just went right over his head.
I know what the Ferry of the Damned is.
They made some changes with respawn time that if you don't have if you're not working on like a fast machine, if you're on the Xbox One, you're going to be pretty screwed because they cut down the respawn time to like 10 seconds. So
wow,
it's very fast now. And yeah, I mean, they're adding more and more things all the time you're going to miss out on. A lot of it is you just see the same sort of generic treasure chest look on everything if you're on a regular Xbox One. But I don't think it would be that different, to be honest. Like, I think a lot of the things that are holding the game back are more server based than the game running on older hardware itself. But I think if they were to re-engineer the game now with what they know about constructing the game, it would be completely different. Like, they have had to add on to a game that was not built for a 4.5 year live service schedule, right? Like,
right.
I don't think in their wildest imagination they would have thought 4 years on they'd still be making Sea of Thieves. I'm happy that they are, but what I'm more curious about is what happens next. Like, when is the Sea of Thieves 2, if that ever happens? Or is anybody ever going to make a knockoff of Sea of Thieves? Like, take some of the design direction that Sea of Thieves has
Isn't that
done
Ubisoft
and
game
made a
gonna be?
clone, and that hasn't happened.
Isn't
Is
that
what?
Ubisoft game even going to be remotely something like that?
Skull and Bones? No, Skull and Bones is nothing like Sea of Thieves. Skull and
Okay.
Bones is much more like Assassin's Creed Black Flag, but without the assassinating stuff.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, Sea of Thieves is awesome. Let's do this one for Hackeralius. Our dog 3D, who says, have you ever replayed games on PC from the 360 PS3 era in 4K 60/fast loading to play the game reframed in a way where the dev's work truly shines? I did this with XCOM and Dead Space and found enjoyment in maxing settings and resolution that gave a whole new appreciation.
Not at all.
I have gone back and replayed some games. So, like, on the Xbox, there are classic games that support higher resolution and faster load times and 4K visuals, and those are awesome. I really do enjoy it, and it's much better than having to go back on that original hardware and play those things, dealing with the load time. But then sometimes you run into situations like with some of the rare stuff, like Viva Pinata, where the interface was built for when televisions were different than now. And so you get like a lot of big button prompts and a lot of big text on screen. Whereas oftentimes I'm complaining about text being too small in recent consoles.
That's mostly because you're old.
That's true too. That's true. But I do like that a lot of games from that era are being brought forward in different ways. Although the PS3 era, that's less of a thing because backwards compatibility for PS3 isn't really
right
to that level yet, right? We're still playing that stuff off cloud streaming on the Sony side of things. All right. Let's do this one from Hacker alias Frunkus Baldwin, who says, With Mario being given an XCOM game along with several other genres, and Zelda given a couple of Warriors games, what series would you like to see given a different game or a different genre / style? Mine is Zelda being given the Xenoblade treatment.
Interesting.
So like turning it into a full-on RPG.
Right.
With a more complicated battle system. It's interesting.
Yeah. One that pops to mind is I would love to see them do kind of something like they did with the Final Fantasy VII remake with one of the earlier games in that series.
Yeah.
Like 4 or 6 or even the original, not what they did with the original, because that was weird. But Stranger of Paradise, I think it was called. But I mean, that pops to mind immediately, mostly because they already did it with Final Fantasy VII. I thought that was really fascinating reimagining of what that story was.
I see.
But I don't know. Nothing else is really jumping out at me.
Pop into mind?
Nope. I ain't got nothing.
Parappa the Rapper, but tactics RPG. That'd be fun.
There you go. That's weird.
Why is that weird? Why?
It's just weird.
Okay. I'll take it. I think that's a good place to stop. Alrighty, and that is our show for this week. Thank you very much for listening. If you have a question for us or would like to comment on something we said, something you heard us say, something you thought you heard us say, direct that to @P1Podcast on the Twitters, or you can go to our internet website at player1podcast.com. There you'll find our contact information. You'll find blog entries about Sega CD stuff from Mr. Greg Seward occasionally. Find Generation. You're working on one now?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Stay tuned for that, folks. You'll also find Generation 16 episodes.
Constantly working on those.
Constantly. Even now as we speak, you have it open in a window.
That's the reason I'm not paying attention.
Exactly. And you will find show notes and links to all the things that we talked about on the show, and a link to our Discord server where we can discuss this episode with us and our other listeners.
If you would like to subscribe to the Player One Podcast, you can do so by going to player1podcast.com or to the Apple Podcast app. Lots of other things that Phil says here about going to Spotify, watching us live on YouTube at youtube.com/P1Podcast, on Twitch at a similar place. Follow us on Twitter, etc., etc. I don't know all this stuff, but hey, what I will say is, if you have enjoyed what you heard, and how could you, as Phil would say, please consider supporting the show at patreon.com/P1Podcast, where the money that you use to support us will go to such important things as keeping the lights on, keeping the shows live on a server somewhere that you can listen to at your leisure, and other fun stuff that we get to do, infrequently. I don't know. It's been infrequent for the last few years because of, the plague, but
yes,
sometimes these funds go towards us getting getting a copy of the same games we can talk about on the show, or having some trips where we can hang out together and take pictures that look like they were from a first date. All the pictures we
Who
take
takes
together,
pictures? Who takes pictures on a first date?
We take. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Good point. Maybe that's what I've been doing wrong. But either way, please consider supporting the show if you are so inclined. I think that's really it. Oh, no. I also meant to say, if you are a show supporter of the $5 variety,
cheap.
You said that with no
cheap.
There you go.
Cheap.
You're supposed to pretend like you're hearing it for the first time and you're amazed at how cheap it is. You also get access to our after show where we play games, we crack wise, we do all the things we can't do on the regular show, which is a weird thing to say because honestly, it's our show. We can do whatever we want on the regular
That's also
show.
true. Yeah.
CJ?
Yeah.
Do we have a game for this week?
What, are you going to put this all on me now?
I absolutely am.
We have a game, but I think it's going to be more fun if we wait until Phil is back to do it.
So whatever our after show is this week, we're literally going to be making a game time decision. When we stop recording this, we're going to have a very quick conversation about what the hell we're going to do on our after show this week.
No, we're not. We're not going to have a conversation about it. We're just going to roll tape.
Something, and we're going to
go roll tape. Greg, anyway, we're going to talk about feelings.
Tune in for that.
We're going to, open up.
Please support the show anyway. I think that's it, though. CJ?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for hosting again this week.
No problem, Greg.
Oh, I know. Patreon funds could go to hooks for that stuff on CJ's floor that needs to be on his walls.
It will eventually get there. There's a plan. There's a plan.
Really? Yeah. Oh, the other thing I noticed, just so you know, remember how you said your wife doesn't listen to this show? She liked the video on Facebook.
Shit.
Yeah.
Did she really? Oh, damn.
She did. She was the first like. It's been nice knowing you.
I better message her and be like,
thank you for listening to this final episode of the Player One podcast.
That's right. She's going to throw me out. No.
I don't think she'd throw you out. She's pretty nice.
Yeah.
She married you.
She's a saint. She married me. Yeah.
Thank you, listeners, for hanging out this week. Phil, don't know what's up. Hope you're feeling better or things are better if something's wrong. And if you just ditched us, well, then screw you.
Exactly.
See y'all next week.
Bye-bye.